Today we're going to make a beautiful gravy for our short ribs. And the technique really is to take the braising sauce and make that into a beautiful gravy that's going to go over the meat, possibly your spätzle, your mashed potatoes, whatever starch you may serve. And people love gravy. Sauce is really the complement to a dish. A good sauce really can flavor, can really make it mouth-watering. So, and there's all types of sauces. Some people like sauces clean, so perhaps you would take this braising liquid, strain it, thicken the sauce a little, and just pour it over. I like to have sauces that have a little texture to them and a little vegetable. So what I'm going to do is show you the technique of making a sauce with what I call a finishing mirepoix. So for my finishing mirepoix, we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to put a little bit of butter into the pan here. And then we're going to put just a little bit of touch of oil, and that's just going to help prevent the butter from not smoking. Remember, butter has a very low smoking point, whole butter. So you can either use clarified butter or whole butter with just a little bit of oil. So I have some beautiful little onions here that I've cut and quartered. We have some nice carrots that have been cleaned, peeled, and cut in a nice rondeau cut. And what this does is this is going to flavor our sauce, but it's also going to be the vegetables to the braised dish as well. And one of the things nice about using a finishing mirepoix is, you know, you have the good flavors of it. It's attractive. It makes the sauce a little bit special. And I like to do something a little bit special versus just strain it and have this real smooth gravy, because I think it can really make the dish stand on its own. Simplicity and a little bit of elegance. So what we want to do is get those vegetables caramelizing a little. We just want to soften up the onions, get the carrots to soften up a bit. And while we're letting that happen, now again, we're going to add a little bit of celery. But remember, celery again, very water soluble, has a lot of water. So if I put it in too early, that water is going to leak out into the vegetables and it won't help the caramelization or the browning process. So here we have the beautiful liquid that was from the braising. You see here the onions have all melted, the carrots are soft, so all that came together, and what you have is this beautiful rich stock. So you started with a beef and veal stock that had some pretty good flavor, but by the reduction in that oven, cooking with the short rib meat, all the flavor from that short rib came in, all the fat from the pan, from searing of the meat and the vegetables went into this sauce. So this is something incredibly special that's just going to be rich in flavor and has a very good depth to it. It's got a very meaty flavor. It's got a little slight vegetable flavor from the mirepoix, but it's just got some great things going on and becomes a great foundation for making your finished sauce. So you see here, we have our vegetables roasting. We're going to throw that celery in there, and then we're going to take our liquid and we're going to strain it right into the sauce. Now you may be asking yourself, why don't we use the vegetables from the braising liquid to begin with? Well, the reason why we don't want to do that is because they've been sitting in the meat and braising for a long time, and they really have gotten a little too soft. Their main property was to help season the stock, to help with the braise. So we wouldn't want to use those vegetables. Another way you can do it is during the braising process, you can put the meat in the pan with its stock, put it in the oven to start braising, and then you can take your finishing mirepoix and actually put it in halfway through the process or 3/4 through. And you look here, this is a natural reduction. You see this sauce, it's simmering, it's bubbling. It's really starting to come together, and this is the technique of making a sauce, is the evaporation. It's called a reduction. So what happens is as this sauce is simmering, it starts reducing. It starts to evaporate, it gets concentrated, and you got to be a little careful, because also what happens when this process starts is the concentration of the flavors really come together. So if you reduce too much, you can have an overpowerful sauce, maybe a sauce that starts to get real salty, and that's why using a stock that has a good balance, it's not maybe overly strong, is a good thing. So you see here, nice simmering. We got the beautiful carrots. We got these onions that are just cooking in there. And now we're going to season a little. I'm going to add just a little bit of sage here, just a little bit. And when you add your herbs, you always want to add the herbs right at the end, because if you add the herbs too early, for example, if I did this in the beginning as they're simmering, what happens is the herbs can become very overcooked, very bitter. And we're going to take this sauce and we're going to finish it with just a little bit of butter. So the cold butter basically is going to act as it emulsifies the sauce, gives it a nice finish, a nice little sheen, really enriches it, gives it that great flavor. And you just let that start to simmer. And we're going to take our beautiful short ribs that we cooked. I mean, look at those, just incredible, very tender, very melts in your mouth, nice caramelization, nice color, and that shows the braise went properly. Because people think that when you braise or do something, you just leave it in the oven, forget about it. That's not the case. You can over-braise meat. It can become still very chewy and almost a boiled consistency, and you don't want that. You want that beautiful color. You want the meat to have some firmness, but yet very gentle and very soft. And here we have that beautiful sauce. You see here it's reduced. A couple of other things you can do. You can add a slurry, a little cornstarch, a little wine, or a little stock to help thicken the sauce if you need to. You can use a roux, which is flour and butter that's cooked, or you can just do it natural. If you really did the braise properly and reduce the sauce, then you end up. And here we're going to pour this right over. I mean, look at all the flavors here. This to me in itself is a dish. So I've used a finished mirepoix, a little creative license here, but it really makes the dish special. You can serve any starch on the side, your potato puree, you can serve spätzle, but man, it doesn't get better than this. Beautiful braised short ribs, mirepoix gravy, just delicious, incredible, and something that will please everybody.